Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Entitled Parents. Story 1. Partner's sister is an absolute M and I hate her. My partner, 22F, has an older sister in her 30s now. She has 2 wonderful kids, but she herself is an absolute entitled ass and I want to rant about it. She has her first kid in her early 20s and makes that an excuse to say she needs to relive some of her lost years. What does this mean? Every weekend, and sometimes on weekdays, she dumps her kids at my partner's house, most of the time unannounced, and goes out drinking. She does not give them food or my partner money to get them food, which would be helpful because my partner and her mother both make only a little over minimum wage. She does not communicate with anyone on when she'll pick them up, or when she does, she almost never keeps her word. And on top of that, she does not give any compensation to her family members for watching her kids. In some cultures your family doesn't expect anything in return for these kinds of favors, however that's assuming every member participating actually has some consideration for each other's time and effort. This is even worse in the summer BTW. The kids will go weeks without going home. This is a huge problem again because that household does not have adequate food. They're often given junk food. They don't have their own room or their own privacy, which really sucks for the eldest who is an adolescent right now. At this point maybe you're wondering why the hell these people don't just lock this woman and her kids out. My partner bears the burden or being the mommy to these kids while she's trying to juggle a job and school full time. She absolutely hates it, but her mother doesn't give a crap. She allows them to come over unannounced but then locks herself in her room when the kids complain about being hungry or bored or whatever. I guess that also makes her an M for just expecting her daughter to deal with a problem she let in. Story 2. Entitled Mother is suing me for custody of my daughter. I 22F, cut off contact with my mother before Halloween. The reason was she is trying to force me to have my abuser in my life. Her husband molested me from the ages of 13 to 15 and raped me at 15. I cut her off after she made a fuss about him not being invited to any of my events or my home. I had enough of her disrespecting me and my boundaries. I haven't talked to her for almost 2 months. 2 months ago I went NC. I found out she was suing for sole custody. I checked my mailbox last week on Tuesday, the 14th, and I have been served with those papers. I couldn't believe what I saw. I was flabbergasted. I am freaking out. What to do? I brought this to my older sister's attention, my sister from my father's side of the family. She said that she would pay for my lawyer and any legal expenses. I have blocked my mother on all social media. I have had cousins screenshot her posts and send them to me. She is telling her Facebook friends that I'm trafficking drugs in my house, that I'm drunk 24/7, that I'm back on drugs, which I've been sober for 4 years, I'm clean as a whistle. She posted that I'm prostituting. She's telling all kinds of lies. She even said on her Facebook, and I quote, "It's not fair that she won't let me see my granddaughter, and it's not fair that she would let my husband see her granddaughter. I'm her mother. I should have rights to see her baby. Like the entitlement. How would you handle this?" Edit. I also told my mother about the abuse and she did fuck all. She told me I was a liar, blamed me, and defends him. Story 3. Entitled Dad Lets Kids Cut in Line. I just recently joined this subreddit and it got me to remember an encounter with an entitled parent a few years back. So me, 24F, and my friend, 24F, were in an amusement park and we wanted to go to ride a roller coaster, but there was a long queue. We decided to wait because the roller coaster was flipping awesome. We wait maybe 10 minutes and the queue doesn't seem to move. Then out of nowhere a little boy, maybe 8 years old, runs towards us and then cuts in line just in front of us. Then follows her big sister, maybe 13 years old, and she tries to tell her little brother that he can't cut in line, but the boy doesn't care. Then the entitled dad appears and as the girl tells him that the brother cut in line, the brother looks at his dad and immediately the dad says you can stay there and seems to pretend that there's no queue behind them. The girl is visibly embarrassed, so I smile at her, hoping she knows that we appreciated her for trying to teach her brother some manners. The dad's ego was so boosted, but the karma was kind of instant. The entitled dad trips over something and seems to be quite embarrassed. But yet, we definitely know where that little boy learned his manners. I'm usually very shy, so I didn't even try to say anything to him. Has anyone had similar experiences in amusement parks? Story 4. A story from long ago. This was a story that my dad told me about his grandparents. For me it's a whole previous generation. Well, maybe a bit more back than that. Here's the cast. My great-great-grandfather, I don't remember his real name, so I'll call him Sonny. Because I have a uncle Sonny. Sonny is a nephew of Walter, the main character of this story. His dad, who is a entitled jerk, I also don't know his real name, so let's call him Dick. There are other relatives, but that's not important. So Dick was basically a jerk and never gave a shit about his family or anyone. Now I don't have much info about him, so it's truly up to imagination to know more about what this guy did. But rumors include going out to bars and coming home drunk, cheating and abusing his wife and kids, not help them with anything financially, taking all of the money for himself. There's probably more, but since this happened during the previous generation, I don't have much details. As far as I know, this did or didn't happen. You get the idea. Then one day out of the blue, Dick just straight up left the family on their own. No warning, he just ghosted. He wasn't seen again for a long time. I don't know how long he was gone, but it's definitely was more than 10 years. During that time Walter stepped up and helped his family recover and got everything back on track. He gave up his years of childhood to restore the family and keep them afloat, and they managed to get by without problems for many years. He worked hard as he got older and his family was very thankful for it. But then years later, guess who came back? It's Dick, and he's pissed. Without warning, he kicked Walter out onto the streets. He was on his own. All of his hard work for nothing. Lucky for him, he's a smart young man and was able to stay with other relatives until he got back on his feet. By that point the whole family, was with him. And anyone who lived with Dick ditched him eventually. Afterwards Walter lived a good long life. And would be rewarded for his hard work. When Sonny heard this story years later, he decided to name his upcoming son after Walter because he definitely deserved it. Despite everything he went through, Walter is a good man and keeps his head high. The son Walter was named after is my grandfather. He got married and had a family of 10, including my dad. He also lived a great life until he passed away in 2020, but not by COVID. He already had health problems before then. As for Dick, I don't know what happened to him after that, but I don't care, he can go burn to a crisp in hell. TLDR, Dick left his family for over a decade, leaving his son to take care of them. Only for him to get kicked out when Dick came back. Story 5. Does anyone else's mom always says you don't care about me when you ask for anything? My mom has always done this thing where she says you guys don't care about me. When we were kids, my mom expected us to basically serve her, and she wouldn't serve us, instead opting for do it yourself, I'm not your maid. For example, she would be in the kitchen and I would be in the living room, and I'd yell, "Mom, can you bring me a cup of water please?" See, and she'd snap, "No, do it yourself." Or she'd be sitting on the couch next to the remote and I'd say, "Can you throw me the remote, Mom?" And she'd say, "No, come get it yourself." Like what? Everything I asked for was asking for too much. It was always, "I'm sick. You should be helping me. None of you care about me." Screaming rampages. She didn't want to help us with college. She said, "You should be giving me money, I'm not going to give you anything." She told me the reason she didn't have a good relationship with me when I was a kid, yelled at me a lot, was emotionally closed off, was because I didn't know how to have a healthy relationship. Why would I, at the age of 8, know how to have a healthy relationship? And when I say, "You never ask me about my day or how I'm doing," she'll say, "You should be asking me about my day and what I am doing. You don't care about your own mother. I raised you for 18 years, blah blah blah." And I'd say, "I didn't know you became a mother for it to be a transactional relationship. I thought you become a mom to give love. And she says I can't give love if you don't give me love. Recently, I asked her to sign a form for me, and she told me that she has too much on her mind and how dare I ask her to do something for me and not help her get through all the stuff she's going through, and all I care about is myself. Then I called her for X and she ignored them all, and I told her I wouldn't chase her forever. Why does she act like a child? I'm in college struggling and she wants me to drop everything to become her caretaker. And she also tells the whole family about us not caring about her or taking care of her, and it's like, Mom, we're all working long hours and going to school trying to be successful without any help from you. Obviously, she has a need that isn't being met, but she should go to her siblings or friends, not her children, demanding that we cater to her. Am I right? Story 6. Entitled Mom Still Trying to Contact Me. My mom has always played victim ever since I can remember. I used to do anything for her, whenever I could. I always sided with her up until a few years ago. I'm sure she's a narcissist. Last March I went no contact with her and blocked her on everything, after seeing that she blocked me on Facebook one day. I had enough with her drama, and was actually trying to distance myself from her at the time, so that was the final straw for me. To this day she still tries calling me, my husband, house phone, and leaves the most vague messages. A part of me wants to unblock her number just to scream at her to quit contacting us, but I know she would put that in her little list of reasons why I'm an unstable person. Don't get me wrong, I've made some poor choices, but unlike her I don't try to act better than anyone or believe that I'm always right no matter what. I feel like I'm trapped with her hovering around me waiting for me to slip up so she can try to snatch my kids from me. It'll never happen, but for a while we did come to an agreement that she took care of my oldest until I got back on my feet. The whole time she took care of my kid she was technically homeless, living off state assistance or crying to her newest boy toy why she's a victim time and time again, and she just needs a break. She's in no position to do anything either. She's living with my younger sister on base, who's also sick of her entitled attitude. I'm your mother, so you have to help take care of me, even though she barely puts in the bare minimum to get by. I'm just here to rant because she'll have her flying monkeys report back to her if I vent on Facebook or even Snapchat. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.